Hi guys, this is The Ordinary Man, step-by-step episode 24, I think we're at now. I'm losing count. So today, again, this is sort of a new segment that we're running, so we're looking to do 7 days with. So this is basically when we bring in a founder of another startup company, so you don't have to listen to me talking shit for an hour, I suppose. So we bring in other founders that give us a little bit of an overview of what their company is, and we just dig into, I suppose, what you guys have done in the last 7 days to move your business forward. So today we have Chris Lynch from DwellDown. We met Chris.
Yeah,
was it a year ago? It wasn't a year, is it?
It was
I can
tell you, February 8th.
Is it?
Yeah.
Jesus, feels longer.
It's crazy, right?
So we met at the Dublin Tech Summit. Two of us are sort of in the property space, I suppose. So I went over and had a chat with Chris as soon as I seen that he was at the Tech Summit. So we've met a couple of times, just at a couple of different events. So Chris, fill us in. What is DwellDown? Where did the idea come from?
Yeah, so DwellDown our aim is to bring transparency into the private rental sector. And I guess the way to describe it would be rate, review, and compare your rental experience. So we're a platform that allows tenants to understand the value of the living experience against the rent being charged. So it's based on a family experience. So my wife and I welcomed a new daughter into the world, and we quickly knew that we needed a bigger space to live. And just like anybody else, we went online and we thought we found one that checked off all the boxes, meaning the area, the size, and had all the amenities that we were looking for to raise our daughter. We went and checked it out on a Saturday morning, waited in line. You know, there's probably 10 other families there as well. We were selected, and we were extremely excited. And that excitement quickly turned to anguish within like the first week, and it was awful. So my daughter actually got sick. She was filthy because the place wasn't cleaned.
So this was you guys had moved in at
this
stage?
So we just moved in, and within the first week, our daughter was sick. We're uncovering mold everywhere, like hidden in closets that you wouldn't really check on when you went and saw the place. Some of the amenities weren't working properly, and we couldn't get in touch with the landlord. So like my wife is going through like major like emotional distress. Yeah. Like and you're spending like 30 to 60% of your, on average, like tenants are spending 30-60% of their monthly disposable income on rent. So we're spending a good amount of money. And
that number's increasing with the current state of the market, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. So we couldn't get in touch with the landlord, but we were forwarding the mail, and we got in touch with the former tenants. And we were saying, hey, we're just curious, what prompted the move? And it was a simple answer. Their wife said, we're expecting a child. You couldn't raise a child in that house. And we said, like, are you serious? Like, if we just knew that one bit of information, like, we would have figured out to pay the extra rent that we were going to be charged in our old place. We would have just figured we obviously wouldn't have moved in that place. Yeah. So we were stuck to a lease. We were paying all this money, and it was a killer for the family. And so I thought if it was that easy, maybe I should always wanted to start a company. Yeah. So I went out and did some market validation, and I literally printed out like 100 surveys at our printer. Right. And I walked around Marion Square and Stevens Green and walk around at lunchtime, and I said, hey, I'm thinking about starting a company. Would you happen to be a renter? And I got really good feedback, and I said, could you just do this survey anonymously? I'm just trying to see if there's a market out there and there's a fit for this product I'm thinking about. And overwhelmingly, the responses came back like yes, and like it really resonated with students, expats, and families. Yeah. And that's kind of like how we got going.
So let's... Like, we're not just going to gloss over the accent here. So we're talking about Dublin and Marion Square. And fill us in, where's the accent from?
So I grew up in Philadelphia. Lived in New York off and on for 10 years. And my wife's from West Cork, Timoleague. And we met in New York, and we decided to raise our daughter here.
Very good.
Yeah, it's been amazing. We've been here just almost 3 years.
You haven't got the accent yet?
I'm never going to get the accent. Philadelphia till I die. So it's great. But Dublin's an amazing place. Ireland's a great country. And it's I think if you're looking to start a business, I think it's a great ecosystem to be in. There's a lot of support, and there's a lot of possibilities here.
So obviously just talking about where the idea came from makes total sense. You've gone out to Marion Square and you got that feedback very, very early, which is great. where did you go? Like, what did you do? Like, this is people out there have ideas all the time. Like, but nobody, I suppose, acts on the ideas. But so, what was your first steps whenever you decided, "Feck it, it looks as if there could be something here." What was your first thought?
Yeah, so I remember being at work, and my wife and I were. This was before we even validated, and I went home one day and I was like, "We're going to start a company." And she goes, "Put your money where your mouth is." So I went in, and the first thing I did was we bought a URL,
right?
And which wasn't easy, because like everything like. We fall under like rent reviews or apartment reviews, and anything with rent or apartment is extremely expensive. And like we're bootstrapping this, so we're pinching pennies. And we love the name, and that name cost us. It took me about 12 minutes to think about, and it cost me. I think it cost me like $6.99. So like bargain basement, like it was awesome.
Yeah.
And from there, I was like, we had some savings, and I said, let's do it. Like I think I know like what the design is, and Helen was like, pump the brakes, like you've never done this before, you have a job, like, and she made us take online business courses.
Very good.
And we would take a class. It was like a 4-week class. We would take the class online once a week, and we would compare our notes, and if there was like a quiz at the end or a survey.
Okay.
And we would see if we had similar thoughts, or if we were going about the creation or the validation in the same thought process.
Okay.
And it was actually really good because it got it both on the same page, and we obviously didn't want to just waste our money.
Yeah. It already seems a good balance. You seem to be the dreamer.
Yeah,
let's go do it. She's like, no.
We have a bank account.
Come back here.
I don't even have the card. I don't have the bank card. Like I have to get everything approved. It's insane. So. That was step one, the URL, and then the validation, and then the online business course. Then I did the surveys, and the survey responses got me super excited.
Okay.
And I applied.
Was that some sort of just Survey Monkey out to a specific?
Yeah, I printed out. I did the survey in Survey Monkey.
Yeah.
I printed it out, and then it's crazy because you don't want to just. If I used my email contacts, I would have emailed all my friends.
Yeah.
And you don't know if that validation's.
And they would have told you it's a fantastic
idea,
exactly. Chris.
Great,
you should do it.
It's not their, exactly. It's not their money and it's not their time. So that's why I decided to walk around Dublin. And I tell you what, Marion Square is a gold mine in the afternoon. Like really, really nice people, really all walks of life, and everyone's willing to make it as short as possible and easy to fill out. Like and everyone was giving great feedback. So. That was step 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. And
then I did phase 1 of New Frontiers.
Okay.
Which was great because I've never really had to validate a business idea or really look at a business canvas, And
how did you even know about New Frontiers? Did you just see it on the internet, or?
That was through networking.
Right.
And that was once a week, and it was great for me because what we just talked about before, just bouncing ideas off the people in the same situation. Yeah. Like you leave. It was like a 3-hour course or once a week, and you would still leave energized and you still had belief.
Yeah.
So it was a nice place to go. And then by then we had a little bit more savings, and I started interviewing developers.
Okay, so you're still working full time at this?
I quit.
Okay.
I left.
Right.
Because we did some vacation. I went back to see my family for a while. But we knew we were going to go forward, and we had some budget saved. And the developer interviewing was pretty intense.
Okay.
I probably talked to 5 or 6 developers.
Right.
Some of them were remote. Some of them were Dublin based. Some of them were based in Tipperary.
Yeah.
All really good guys. Some people understood, could look at the data and say, I believe in this product.
Yeah.
Others didn't want to touch it.
So was it then? So I suppose you came out of that New Frontiers phase 1 with a very clear idea of what the value prop, I suppose, was, and then you were able to articulate that to developers that you're interviewing to see if they're in the same wavelength or not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you could. It was pretty easy for me to see the people that believed in it.
Yeah.
And then some people, I talked to some really good guys that were just not here. And if I'm putting money into it and I believe in a product, I need it to be hands on, and I needed a Dublin based developer. and that's what I ended up going with. But the process took a couple months, and I met with these guys multiple times.
Okay.
And brought Helen involved too.
Of
So
course.
Brought the boss.
The credit card.
Yeah, exactly. So but we're very happy with the ones we went with, and they believed in it. And the other thing you're talking about, if you're outsourcing a developer, like if you don't have to, don't do it. Like obviously, if you're building a company, you want your own developer in house. Yeah, so you definitely want to try to get your own developer in house. But on their end, they're like super busy as well. So they're getting peppered all the time by guys that think they have the next greatest thing. They're going to change the world.
Yeah.
So they have to kind of be selective as well.
So were the developers that you got, did they have full-time jobs as well, or were they just...
No, they're full development houses.
Freelancers,
Yeah,
okay.
they were like full companies with like 12 people, 5 to 12 people, like legit. And the budgets ran all over the place. And they were, they work in different languages, and I didn't know anything. I have no technical abilities, really. So the more you talk to people, I wanted to make sure that we had a robust enough MVP that we could build upon, where I didn't have to build an MVP, tear it back down, and then put X amount of dollars back into it.
How did you know you had the budget? Because obviously I know developers are pricey.
Yeah.
So how did you know you had the budget to get... Because I suppose you needed to be sure that if you're forking out this money, that it was enough to get an MVP. So how did you manage that?
So we had a set aside amount of money,
right?
And we said, this is what we want to do. This is where we want to get to. This is what point we want to get to.
Yeah. And
that meant more market validation. That meant MVP, and that meant some marketing.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
And to be honest, most of the people we work with were like, "That's a really tight budget."
Yeah. They would say that anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So like right off the bat, we were able to cut like 3 of them because of like budget or location.
Yeah.
And then out of the last 2, one came highly recommended.
Okay.
And we got along really well. And I went to them with designs. Like I drew out the wireframes, and I said, "This is what we're building. This is our data. Let's do it." And they said, "Let's pump the brakes." And they said, "Let's validate the market more. Let's just throw this online." And I remember getting so nervous. It would have saved me thousands of dollars, right? Like this is them saying, like, "We would love your money, but like we're not here to waste your money," right?
Well, that's brilliant that you got that, because I suppose they could have been money hungry and said, just give it to me.
Exactly.
And then what?
So we literally just we just dressed up the survey, nice splash page, put it online, bought some Facebook impressions, like spent maybe like $100 over like a week.
Yep.
And we got really good traction, and it went really well.
Good.
And we actually got national news. We were in like Dublin Inquirer, Irish Independent. I was on the Moncrief show.
And how did you go about doing that? Because obviously that for new businesses, that exposure is unbelievable.
It's huge, and you have to. It's kind of so it's obviously social networking, right?
Yeah.
But there's tools for different customers and different users, or whoever you're trying to target. If I'm saying if you're going B2C, if you need the customers, you go Facebook, 100%. If you're trying to get the enterprises and businesses, you go to Twitter.
Yeah.
If you're doing like I don't know, like I have a pretty big LinkedIn following or connections, and I get really good feedback from that. But that's more branding and business.
Yeah.
But B2C is definitely Facebook, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. So
I guess that's something that I found as well is it's really, and it's so simple when you think about it, is understanding what your market is.
Yep.
Where is their attention, and then
Well, and it's the thing I like about...
Sorry, we just paused there because I'll tell that story. So
a major investor just called in at the time.
we're using the microphone here, but it broke, so we decided to have to revert to using my phone. And I got a phone call as it was happening. So
impressive investment.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Continue. I don't even know what we were saying.
Yeah,
so sorry. Yeah. So about the attention. So understanding where your market is, and then doing something in that space to get their attention.
Exactly. You have to target them with the right content. And what we liked about Facebook is that I was actually, since I'm a father, I'm 40. I was. You
don't look a day over 35.
My mane of hair, my thick mane of hair. So I'm bald, by the way. So I thought we'd get a lot more a feedback with people in my 40 and above, because it's a growing demographic for renters, because most families are being forced to rent at this point.
So were you targeting renters rather than landlords?
Yeah. So because I'm looking at my point, like they would drive the most content. There's more tenants than landlords.
Yeah, and it was just to get an understanding from renters if they've found similar issues, and if they would be interested in, I suppose, a solution that would help with that.
Yeah, so it'd be what are the issues, and also the user flow. Is the design working with them, or do we have to adjust? So like some A and B testing, which was great, good feedback, and I suggested for everybody.
So you did all that, and then obviously the validation was there. So went back to the developers and was like, right, let's crack on and get this MVP done.
So the survey launch was like the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever. Honestly, it was hilarious. They were laughing. A 26-year-old kid laughing at me, and he was like, "This is what it's about." And I was like, "This is my dream, and it should be crushed in like a day." And thank God it worked out. And then so I took the wireframes, and we knew what we wanted to do, and you do like a couple whiteboarding sessions to really dial down and make sure that the user experience is good. There's flows, what kind of data you're collecting, how to drive the most content, and we got it up and running. We had a deadline, which was great, and the deadline was the Dublin Tech Summit.
Yeah.
So it needed to be launched, and we were able to do a soft launch, iron out some bugs. There were some bugs when we launched at the Tech Summit, but at least it looked pretty good and it was functional.
Yeah.
And
so is it it's a web app, or is it iOS, Android?
No, it's a web app. So it's mobile optimized. I just think the budget, even now, the budget doesn't allow for apps. I mean,
same as ourselves.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then not only you have to build the apps, then you have to market it. Yeah. And marketing apps isn't cheap. So we went to the most budget route, which is mobile optimized web. It's built on Node.js, hosted on Amazon, so we can build horizontally so it shouldn't crash.
Yeah.
We don't have those user numbers yet, but hopefully.
So what have you done then? So we've got an MVP there. It's gone to market. So what are you doing to try and drive, I suppose, traffic to it?
Yeah. So when we launched the MVP, we did a little we just did a little Facebook again. So we only put $150 into it. We had some friends at Facebook that were giving us were sharing their monthly allowance, which helped us test. But we were literally spending $30-$40 a day. Our cost per acquisition was it's quite low. Yeah. So it's in the $3 range, which is really nice. But we only ran that. We did that for a week and a half, and since then it's just regular, posting news articles. Posting stuff on Twitter, LinkedIn, and I'm not spending any more money on customer acquisition at this point.
I think this probably resonates with a huge amount of people who have been through similar processes, and just again because of the way the market is. So, just tell us from a user perspective, what do they do? So they log on. So what would bring them to the application first of all, and then what would they do in the application? Yeah, so right now we're finding out it's most of it's word of mouth. So most of our traffic's direct to websites, so they're just going to typing in DwellDown.com. Yeah. Facebook would be our top referral. So we haven't bought any AdWords yet, and we're seeing that. So if you go to the site, you have to search a specific address, and that's fine. So any address you search in Ireland would show up. It'd be Street View. So is that from my point of view? If I'm going to say apply for a property, I'm like, Jesus, you know what? I'm just going to check to see what sort of background it is. So that's when I would just go and type in the address.
Yeah. So right now, so we're learning a lot of stuff. So that's exactly where we are. So if you think about it in the rental funnel, usually people are going to go and they're going to search like the after my home, and they might search that by an area, and they're going to find an apartment. And then if they know about DwellDown, they'll go on DwellDown and they'll see if there's a review.
Right.
So, and they'll show you the overall, what former tenants said, have thought about the overall quality, comfort, communications with the landlord, amenities. There's a pros and cons box, so you can find some stuff about the neighborhood. Is there parking? Is there crime? Find all types of nuggets there. Like how quickly the landlord fixed something, and we give it an overall score. Right. And then if it's a good score, maybe you check it out on a Saturday morning. If it's a poor score, you start your search over again. But we also offer similar apartments in a 3-kilometer area right below the rating. So. Is it bad? Not bad. Is it lazy for me to say it's sort of like a TripAdvisor, the TripAdvisor of the hotel space? No. No. It would be. I think it's good to be like TripAdvisor or Glassdoor in terms of reviews. That's exactly where we're going.
Okay.
That's the basis of where we're at now.
Yeah.
We're building out a little more neighborhood, and we're building out university pages because we're seeing how people are actually the nature of which they search. And it's not always based on a specific address. Yeah. So we're finding that out. We're starting to build university networks, so university ambassador networks. Yeah. And we're getting great feedback and great traction through that. So right now we have some in Dublin. We have a girl in Cork that works at CIT, who's amazing. And they drive content for us as well.
Great. And I'm trying to multitask there. I'm desperate multitasking. Yeah. So, yes, that was it. So that's all from a tenant perspective. Have you got any feedback from the landlords around, well, what the hell is this? Why are you doing this? Or can I rate the tenants as well as a landlord?
So the landlord can actually reply to the tenant's response. So we have a landlord where they or place where they can log on and create an account. And they can reply to any feedback they've received to make sure it's kind of accurate because we want both sides of the market. Yep. We've gotten a few landlords to do that on the platform, and they've been really positive. Great. And we still survey landlords to see what they think, and it's actually the ones we talk to. I don't know if it's just because we're talking to them, but they're very positive, and they're always like, let's see if my properties are there. I don't want to be a slumlord. I want to make sure my tenants are happy. I don't want to have to I don't have to deal with turnover. Like I want I want to offer a good living experience.
It's funny you say that because even actually, I've had similar experiences. I think for the general world, just because of the way the market's gone, it's very easy for us to bash landlords and blame everything from the plague to World War II to everything on landlords. I suppose they're probably looked at as an institution. I actually don't even like the word landlords, to be honest with you. But even yesterday we had a call from a private landlord again, and the exact same sentiment. They're like, look, we love what you're doing, and we really actually want to help as well this crisis. We're part of it, and we want to help provide a good service. So I think it is probably, there clearly is, I suppose, again, 99% of landlords are good landlords, good people, but it's that 1% that will do the damage.
Yeah, but there's always going to be, and that's what we want to kind of flush out. There's always going to be some bad apples, and it comes back to, like, people are spending literally, like, 30 to 60% of their monthly disposable income. There should be a quality of life acceptable for what they're paying, and you can't count on like the local government agencies to do this. Like when I lived in the house that drove us to come up with this idea, we called and tried to have people come in, and one guy never showed up. Like we wait, like he'd show up, he would say, I'd be there. We waited like 3 days, we just never called back. We're like, come on, man, like this is like serious stuff. Like there's children involved, you know, this is big money. So you have to, we're figuring out that like a private company like DwellDown or Basecamp, they can move quicker than an agency because they don't have to deal with the red tape. That's what
So
we're seeing.
that's all. So clearly, you've made huge progress from the start. From it was an idea into an actual product. Give us the gory details. Obviously, there's I know, and you know, there's loads of challenges, and along the way, there's times you're like, "Fuck, am I doing the right thing?"
Yeah.
Because it's very much you're similar to myself. We're first time, I suppose, founders, so we're like blind leading the blind at times. So give us an example of a real challenge that you've had to, I suppose, face even in the last couple of weeks. Where shit's hit the fan.
Yeah, so obviously, like, lots of sleepless nights, and I'm back having them again because we're building more product. So it's lots of sleepless nights, and like it's lonely.
Yeah.
It's like you need to rely on a really good team, and you need someone who believes in your vision, and it goes like it's priceless.
Yeah.
Just to be able to share it. But I'd say like some nightmares. Like, I mean, we have very spiky traffic. So like there'll be days like last week we had like 450 uniques come on Thursday.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
You know, really high good conversion rates. But probably 2 days before that, we might not have had any properties created on the site.
Yeah.
So that there's days, like a lot of those days, when you're like, Jesus, like what am I, like what's going on? Is this viable still? Like, am I doing it? And you're always, since it's bootstrapped, you're counting your pennies. You got to spend, and it's like I know what my customer cost per customer acquisition is, but I don't want to spend money on that. You know, I need to build. I need to see what the users are doing, and it's always, for me, the biggest nightmare is: am I building the right stuff? Am I really looking at the data correctly?
Yeah.
You know, and I think we are, but it's you always have to build and test, and it's very limiting to what you can do, and because it's based on budget.
Yeah.
So that's our big thing right now. And the other thing that's been really tough for me is we started off literally as a B2C play. So we needed tenants to rate, right, and drive content, and that's fantastic. But we are getting some validation. What we just talked about, the landlord you spoke to yesterday.
Yeah.
We are getting validation on an enterprise side. So that's a whole different conversation. And why do they want to use the? What do they see in the product? Why do they see? What do they like about it? And then if you have to build for them, that's a whole almost a whole other product, a whole other value proposition. And then how do they make money? My biggest challenge right now is I think I know how I'm going to make money.
Yeah.
But it's still, I think.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And trying to sell and build for investors, that's not necessarily what they want to hear in Ireland or in Europe. So that's like a big thing for me.
Okay. So I suppose we'll get into the whole name of this. So the last 7 days. So tell us a little bit of the last 7 days. So what have you done to try and move the business forward?
Yes.
Give us the gory details again.
Yeah. So I'm in a program right now. So things have been going. You caught me at it's been gory, but things have actually been pretty good for me over the last 5 to 6 weeks. So we're in a program. We're in an Accelerator at the NDRC with really good mentors. But it's again by Thursday. By Wednesday, usually I had a couple last night to cool down. Yeah. But by Wednesday night, my brain is mush.
Yeah.
And it's really about digging back into the value proposition. And I think we've made really good headway. I've been able to build out my student ambassador group a little bit larger. We've designed and set concrete timelines on my next phase of the build, which should be done. We're rolling out in 4 phases and should be done by early September. So we're going to have some really cool stuff in September.
Cool.
And I've had some really interesting meetings that could be good. But now the reality is we're going to be looking for money.
Yeah.
You know, so that we got to start having those conversations.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at.
So that's the focus, I suppose.
Yeah.
So now and for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. So the next couple of weeks is I'm business development, man. I'm just like you.
Yeah.
Out there trying to connect and build a network and see what's going out there. People understand the value. I have other guys taking care of the tech, which is great for me. I just say if I like it or not, or if I test it and make that blue.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Make that green. But yeah, it's mostly about business development because we need to drive money.
So your business development is focused on getting some cash rather than business development in regards to tenants, getting more tenants on board the application?
Well, it's a little
bit
of
of
both.
both.
I mean, like I'm not putting any more. We're gonna test some of the stuff the new build, so we'll spend a little bit of money.
Yeah.
But most of it is about bringing money in and partnerships in ways I can get out the tenants or get out on a cheap, where I don't have to pay for them.
Yeah.
And figure out ways in which we can have revenue coming in.
Great.
So it's a long way to go. It never ends.
Yeah.
And it's always a gut check. Yeah. I mean, every day is gory, right?
Yeah.
You're a lonely guy, like thinking you still have an idea, but like you have to have some gumption, and you have to really be able to listen to people as well. Because if you can't listen, you're probably going to end up going down the wrong street.
It's funny actually as well. I was just thinking yesterday as well. We're pretty in a pretty similar situation to yourselves. We probably have a clear route, I suppose, to some paying customers. Such we're just trying to flip that switch. So I'm very focused on trying to get paying customers up and running. So that we're hoping that will come soon. We're bootstrapped as well, as you know. But I just had a bit of a moment yesterday. I was like, because you're immediately panicking trying to get money through the door, and then I was like, that's never going to end, because even when you get investors on or bring more staff on, it's still going to be, you're not just worried about yourself, and you're probably slightly different. You've a child as well, so you're worrying about. But I'm like just worrying about myself and the partner at the minute, and then so she's all right, she's working away, but then I'm okay. All right, get more money on, bring on more employees, and it's not just me, it's people you're working with as well. So I sort of last night I was like, you better get comfortable with that figure, because it's never going to go away. So
it's brutal, and the more you make, you reinvest it, and you just have, like, as you said, you have to build. You have more people counting on you, and I can tell, like, you're obviously a prideful guy, and you believe in your product, right? So like you're gonna find a way to make it work. Right? That's what it's about. Like, and you have to take a lot of criticism. Like I said, I had a meeting yesterday, and it ended up, like, the first half of the meeting, they were very good at their job, just breaking everything down, and it was so frustrating. Like, if I had hair, it'd be gone. Like it was like I was like, they don't understand this. They don't understand where we're going, but they did. They 100%, and they just wanted to make sure that we understood it, and that we had the purpose, and we were following the right things. So after like a half hour, he was like, okay, now I see what we're doing. Let's go. But it's hard. Yeah. It's really hard. It hurts your ego. It hurts your, you think you're bright, but you're not the brightest guy in the room. But you have to kind of act like it. And you have to be like, oh man, okay, great feedback. So it's tough. It's not easy.
So next steps for you guys, and what's obviously business development, obviously trying to focus on getting cash through the door. What else? You're still in the Accelerator for how long?
Yeah, it ends in September, so that's why we're set a hard date. We want to show that progress. We'll have some user acquisition. We're going to be testing some exciting news. We're going to be testing some international markets as well.
Great.
So it's cool.
Perfect. So what we'll do is where's best to get you if there's tenants out there, or investors, more importantly, people with the money. Where would we find you?
Yeah, just go to DwellDown. You can email me through the site. You can message me through the site. It's my work email is contact@DwellDown.com. I'd love to speak to anybody, whether they're tenants or investors or landlords, get feedback.
Yeah.
And obviously investors love to have coffee with, just to pick your brain. Like, we're not at that point yet, but we will be. Yeah. So it's good just to hear what they have to say, because it's. I think we're at least starting to look like an investable business. Yeah. That's kind of really important. I want to hear what they have to say.
Perfect. So. What we'll do is we'll get all the details as well up on the site, and get on to Chris. Anybody who wants to have a chat. Yeah. Thank you very much for coming in.
It was awesome.
You're very good. Yeah, we eventually got the podcast working.
Well, it's good to see. I mean, we met. It's good to see that we met at the Dublin Tech Summit. We both launched. And we were both supporting each other during the pitch contest. Yeah. And here we are, a couple months later, still supporting. We're hanging in there, and it's building a network, and that's what it's about. So I appreciate you having us on. And
perfect. Thanks very much for coming on. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for everybody for listening as well. You'll continue to hear my rants throughout the week on my own podcast, and we'll be hopefully getting a couple more founders on over the next couple of weeks to have a chat. So thanks again, everybody. Have a what day are we? Thursday. Have a lovely weekend, and we'll chat to you again.